Lebanon is today the fifth most expensive country to send money to in the world, with an average cost of sending money to Lebanon between 9 to 12% between fees and hidden fees and FX fees. So what we created is, by not being very greedy, I would say, the sender pays very reasonable amount and commission, but the beneficiary cashes out for free the whole amount that they received.
Because there was a problem. People were receiving the money and getting charged on the money they were receiving. Hello 100X listeners. Today we're diving into the exciting world of Purpl with its co-founder and CEO Wissam Ghorra. With a solid foundation in banking, he seamlessly transitioned into fintech, leading Purpl's charge in revolutionizing remittances for the Lebanese. Let's unravel the world of Purpl and its solutions in providing cost-effective alternatives for global users to send money home instantly. They raised $2 million in funding, positioning themselves for a strategic expansion in 2023. Let's dive into Wissam's leadership, fundraising, strategic partnerships, and learn more about Purpl's vision for financial empowerment and accessibility. Wissam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you for coming. So this is going to be an interesting episode because we're going to be talking about a geopolitical problem that you are solving, and you're solving it through financial means. Before I get any further into details, I want to know the 30-second version of what Purpl is. So you're the co-founder of Purpl. What is Purpl?
So in 30 seconds, Purpl is a remittance aggregator and a digital wallet we're launching in Lebanon, the first of its kind. So basically we aggregate remittance companies that to transfer money to Lebanon, and we give multiple solutions for the beneficiaries, either to cash out or pay at merchant or to use any of the services on this platform. That's basically it in 30 seconds.
So you're saying that you created a solution where people can send money to Lebanon. Why can't people send money normally? Why do I have to create a solution for that?
Okay, I hope I have more than 30 seconds for this
sure.
question. So basically, after the financial crisis in Lebanon that started in October 2019 and the total collapse of the banking sector, whereas the Lebanese were used to going through the banking channels. After this crisis and the collapse of the banking sector, so remittances to Lebanon were channeled through different players that didn't play a major role before, and mostly through money transfer companies. And that means a completely different experience and completely different pricing. And unfortunately, some of the monopolies and players that benefited from this. So the conditions were not very good and the experience was not very good. And this is why we decided to tackle this sector and sending money to Lebanon to solve the issue of people receiving money in Lebanon because of all the challenges that people face.
And you're Lebanese?
I'm Lebanese.
Okay, so this problem really impacted you for you to start this business.
Of course, it impacted every Lebanese. You know, Lebanon has a small population of around 4 million Lebanese living in Lebanon. But there are more than 15 to 20 million, it depends on the studies, of Lebanese living abroad.
There are more Lebanese people living abroad than in Lebanon?
3 to 4 times.
Wow.
Yes. And what is different about...
And everyone is sending money back home.
And so basically it's a very strong diaspora that is still attached to their home countries. And basically a lot of Lebanese abroad send money to Lebanon. And this is historically has been the pace since the first Lebanese left, and I'm talking in the 1900s. And it was always like the support system of Lebanon was based on remittances. And of course, the channels changed, but this has always been a backbone in the Lebanese economy.
So we're talking about Lebanese people who have traveled, immigrated to different countries, worked hard, created some sort of success, and they're sending money back home to their families.
Exactly.
And what you saw, if I understood correctly, that other players, there's a problem in the banking financial system. You wanted to create things that are easier, maybe cheaper, maybe more accessible. That's what Purpl is.
It's a mixture of things. So basically, yes, it is more affordable, but it's a completely, what we created is a tech solution. So we wanted the experience to be a tech experience and to include the technology and the latest technologies in money transfers to finding a solution for the problem in Lebanon.
Okay, we'll get into that further. But let's rewind a little bit. I want to know more about Wissam, his journey leading up to that. What did you study? Talk me through it.
Basically, I studied economics in Lebanon and then did my MBA between Lebanon and abroad. And I started in the most corporate world, let's say, put it this way. I started in the banking sector. I worked for around 10 years in investment banking and corporate banking. And then I moved to private banking between Lebanon and Geneva. And this is where I got most of my banking experience and I got acquainted with this word.
How many years total in banking?
17.
17 years,
yes.
Working in the banking sector.
Yes, in Lebanon and abroad.
So you're an expert on this topic.
I'm not an I don't like to call myself an expert, but I had a good experience. And this is what helped a lot at a later stage when we decided to start Purpl. Because of all these experiences, fintech is a new and very fast world. But having this baggage of experience in banking helps a lot.
Have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? Because you've been working for 17 years in the banking sector, then you made that shift. What caused that shift to happen?
So, as I told you before, Ahmad, I don't have the thought of how important entrepreneurship is. I didn't have this before. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. Who started their business in Lebanon in 1973. So basically in the midst of all the Lebanese civil war. So I always grew up with the entrepreneurship side maybe. I didn't feel I was comfortable starting my own company before. But this doesn't mean that you don't learn and you don't build on the experience you have even if you're not an entrepreneur. And then when the opportunity came and I found myself ready for this challenge, I said, why not? So let's move into the entrepreneurship side of things.
What's the story behind the name? Why'd you call it Purpl?
So Purpl is the Phoenician dye. So it comes from ancient Lebanon and it's a dye that made the Phoenicians export everywhere in the world. And it reached Europe, it reached multiple countries, and that was the success of the Phoenicians. And for those who don't know, the Phoenicians are the roots of the Lebanese civilization. So how we saw things is that through Purpl and this product, the Purpl dye, which expanded to a lot of countries almost everywhere in the world. As we start Purpl, we wanted to link Lebanese living in Lebanon to the Lebanese diaspora in all the world. And this is how we thought this name rings a bell. And this is how we thought of getting the Lebanese diaspora closer to Lebanese living in Lebanon.
And when you started Purpl, what made you go ahead and start the startup where coming from a corporate banking background? Because over here, did you identify a gap in the market? Did you see that there's an opportunity, what you just mentioned?
In the midst of all this crisis, yes, there are always opportunities. And after the crisis in Lebanon in October 2019, as I already told you, with the collapse of the banking sector, I thought there is an opportunity to start something. And this is where we gathered my co-founders and myself and decided to jump on this opportunity. And it was how we decided to start was really like a joke. Since my other two co-founders were living in Paris, I was living in Lebanon, and whenever we meet, so they used to come with cash, or they call me, someone got them $200 and asked me to pay their parents here. And this is why all the channels of transferring money to Lebanon changed. And this is where we started thinking that there is a big problem. And as part of my love for Lebanon and belonging to Lebanon, I decided to start this in Lebanon to find a solution for one of the many problems that Lebanese are facing, and to facilitate and to make it more affordable for Lebanese to receive money from abroad in a tech way and in an easy and transparent way. So this is how we started Purpl.
Your co-founders were your friends?
So we worked at a certain point together, and we launched this together.
And what was your role in the company?
So I was the Chief Development Officer, basically working on partnerships, regulatory, new opportunities and investors, and things evolved the company.
Do you believe your background, you said 17 years, helped you when you launched a startup, and how?
Of course, it helped a lot since we're in the fintech, so big components is finance. And having worked in both investment and private banking, so it was quite solid background in finance on multiple products. It helped a lot. It helped on first understanding the sector, how it works, what are the difficulties, and when you see the difficulties and you have a good background, you know how to find better solutions. So it helped me a lot. It still helps today, but it's always, I think, wherever we are, we should make the best out of it and learn. I happen to be in the finance sector, in the banking sector. I learned, but I think if it was not in the banking sector, it would have been somewhere else, and we can always learn and adapt. The most important thing is to adapt our learnings into what we want to do and in the current circumstances.
I'm sure, Wissam, when you started building this business, there were many challenges. Walk me through, what were the difficulties you were facing?
Starting a business in Lebanon, specifically in 2021, in the midst of a financial, economical, monetary, and all the crises that happened, in itself is a challenge. So we faced a lot of challenges. Mostly, I think the most important challenge we faced is the regulatory challenge. It took us more than expected to get the license that enable us to launch the service. So in this crisis in 2021, the focus of the central bank wasn't really on digital wallets and on digitization. So it was quite a struggle to have the license. But as always, I like to take positive aspects of any struggle or any experience we have. We were able to build a very strong relationship with the central bank and with the central bank employees at the time, which helps us a lot today, because we went through all of this process at the time, and it helps us today. So basically that was one of the biggest challenges. I think it's common everywhere in the world. It was amplified in Lebanon, but we got through it and we launched our services. The other positive side is that we worked a lot on our product meanwhile. So when we had the license, we were ready to launch the week after, and we launched the service we have.
I think what you mentioned is very important, for the fact that even if it's a big challenge, like the regulatory challenge you had, it's an opportunity. Because in the end, you said it took you a year to get the proper licenses. This is a barrier of entry when it comes to other businesses who are trying to enter that space, right? What differentiated you is you went through that process, you went through that paperwork, you went through so many negotiations to reach there. right?
Yes, it is always good when it's fair. Sometimes, unfortunately, some players have, let's say, an edge over the others. In our case, we were a startup, whereas the central bank is usually works with banks and corporates. They're not very used to working with startups, young people. So it was a challenge even for them to trust us, to trust our service, how we build our product. But we were able to go through that. And on another point, yes, it is a barrier for the entry of other players, but I like competition, and I'm not afraid of competition. As long as it's fair competition, I like competition. So it's fine. It's always fine, even for other players to have the same licenses.
Do you feel over this journey, did you feel any sort of failure? Did you face any failure when it comes to building the business?
In an entrepreneur's life, yes, you always feel that you could do better. Maybe I wouldn't say fail, but you always think that you can do better.
Was there a moment where you felt that, okay, I failed in this and I had to shift the business model?
Thank God we didn't reach the point of we failed, but there were some alarming things happening. And this is where, yes, we had to change, and we changed multiple things to adapt either our product or services and the way we work. So thank God we didn't reach the failure phase. But I think if we were not agile and we were not conscious of the difficulties, it could have been a failure at some point, yes. But thank God we didn't reach that point.
And plus, when you're working towards something and you go through that entire process, now you're building the entire infrastructure, there is a moment where you feel like, am I there? Am I successful there when it comes to building your business? How do you define success, Wissam?
That is a very difficult question for me because I'm someone who really believes in the people and the team I work with. Success is never a metric, or it's never one metric. It's not money, it's not users, it's not... for me, success is a combination of things. And the most important thing is really to achieve this combination in which you're proud of what you've done, you're advancing, you have a good user feedback and you have a good user base. And at the same time, you have a supportive team, you have a good in ownership in the team you're working with. You feel that the people you're working with are comfortable, are here to deliver more than 100% on what they can do. The investors are satisfied. So basically success is a mixture of multiple things. On a pure technical, in our case, it's the biggest number of users, the experience of the user. Maybe for us, one of the biggest success metrics is the churn rate, so which is user coming back to use Purpl again and again. And I think we've achieved that because we have built a solid technology, but we're very close to each and every user we have. We conduct a lot of user surveys. Before launching any product, we go to the users and we go to users who do not use Purpl, inactive users, to ask them what are the features you want to see, what are the services they want to. So that is on one front, being very close to your users, creating a product that comes from within the need of the users. It's always better than just to import a product that exists somewhere else and just come and impose it on your user. Success is a very big word. I think fulfillment is is a good way to think about success. If you're fulfilled, you think that you're on the right track, you're doing everything you can, and you have the people around you that are supportive and are comfortable in what they're doing. That's one kind of success, and that is very important.
It's interesting. And when it comes to users and the churn rate and what you mentioned regarding these metrics, before we get more into that, I want to ask you, what exactly is the business model behind Purpl? Walk me through the different products or services or certain features you have. And I want to know the different sources of revenue that are associated with the product.
Our culture at Purpl is really to start something, build a solid technology and user experience, validate the model, and then move to other products. And this is what we've done in the first 9 months, whereas we had one service, which is receive remittances in Lebanon, and mostly cash out. So even in this, what we created at Purpl is something unique and different, and that was one of the successes we had. Is in this landscape of crisis in Lebanon, we were able to put the banking infrastructure at the disposal of unbanked people. So basically today, people receiving money on Purpl in Lebanon, they go to an ATM, cardless, without a bank account, just through an interface with our app, and they just put a code and cash out from an ATM. And this was the first service we launched.
So this was in the first 9 months?
Yes, that
and
was.
And did you spend money to create the service?
Of course, it's a whole technology that we built. It's a whole integration.
How much was that? How much did you spend?
On that phase, because it wasn't purely this, you have on the other side integrating with remittance partners, so companies from abroad, sending the money, working on all the user experience, on all the design, and on the settlement and the tech. So that was the first 9 months, and that since launching, I mean.
And collectively, how much was that in investment?
So we raised till now around $2.5 million as a total.
But before raising, did you spend any of your own money into the business?
Yeah, as a pre-seed and for the pre-seed and partially for the seed.
How much was that?
That was around approximately 50% of the needed investment for this runway.
Okay. So after you spent from your own savings, I presume, to start the business, did your co-founders spend any money, or was it just you in the beginning?
It was me.
It was you
who invested.
Yeah. And then launching the first 9 months, where everyone can withdraw easily through the ATM.
Exactly.
Cardless, take their money, just receiving, and you had partnerships with different partners outside, abroad.
Yes.
For them
exactly.
to facilitate that transfer.
And in addition to that, beneficiaries, our services are for free for beneficiaries. So people receiving money in Lebanon cash out for free.
Because there was a problem. People were receiving the money and getting charged on the money they were receiving.
On the both sides, the sender and the beneficiary used to pay the fees. So what we created is, by not being very greedy, I would say, the sender pays a very reasonable amount and commission, but the beneficiary cashes out for free the whole amount that they received. So that was the first phase, and thank God we were able to validate that. We exceeded the 100,000 downloads in less than a year. We exceeded the 40,000 registered beneficiaries on Purpl. So it's starting to gain traction.
Big number.
Yes, it's a decent number, I would say. So once we felt that we're fine on that front, now we're launching multiple products. We're going mostly into the payment. So people receiving money on Purpl have the option either to cash out or to pay at merchants through what we created is a wallet to bank account. So through the wallet, you can pay on merchants' POS machines. And again, in an attempt to have some financial inclusion, whereas that is a big problem today in Lebanon. We're at 90% or more in a cash society. After all the crisis, people are just got used to cash. And what we're trying to do is really getting people back to some sort of financial inclusion and financial sector. And we're trying to do that by having a very simple experience, by making it affordable, making it easy for everyone across generation and across even in Lebanon, across the cities. And so now we're fully focused on payments, we're on the services and the products that we will top up, and making Purpl the digital wallets for users in Lebanon, and not only by receiving remittances from abroad, but allowing users to top up locally and use and spend at merchants, buy products. This will be launched next month. So a lot of services and products will be launched. In addition to that, we're allowing what we call bulk payments. So it's not only about user per user. We're allowing corporates to use the Purpl platform. We're allowing companies, and really trying to facilitate the work for everyone. Our biggest aim is really financial inclusion, how to include the people that left the banking sector or any financial sector go back. It's shy, but we're getting there, hopefully.
And how does Purpl make money? Do you charge a commission? Are you becoming cheaper?
So there is, our secret is being not very greedy. So the commissions are paid by the sender, and we have a part of that commission. And on top of that, any product or services that we're launching at a later stage, we can monetize at a certain point.
What percent of that do you take from the sender?
So the sender, it depends on from which country they're sending, but on average, our fees go between 2 to 3%. That's
compared to the conventional methods, which are around how much?
So outside the banking sector, Lebanon is today the 5th most expensive country to send money to in the world, with an average cost of sending money to Lebanon between 9 to 12%, between fees and hidden fees and FX fees. So what we're trying to do is not only facilitate, but not being very greedy, and allow senders to send more for their beloved people in Lebanon or family or supporting, and allowing the people that are in need for these remittances to be able to spend more.
When you talked about raising 2.5 million, from where did you raise this money?
It was a mixture of investors. How I see our investors, it's more of a partnership than investors. So I like to feel that my investor is a partner in Purpl. He is heard. We have open channels with them. We communicate a lot with them. And we like to really build this partnership. So we were able to raise from VCs, but we were able to raise from family offices and from Lebanese groups, based in Lebanon, but covering multiple countries. So it was a mixture either of some service providers or strategic partnership alongside with VCs and friends and family.
Wissam, raising $2.5 million means this problem is important since the company is not profitable, right?
No, not yet.
So it means that this problem is very important. People cared about the difficulty when it comes to transferring money to Lebanon. Exactly.
So you have two things. It's a big problem, and it's a major problem that people living in Lebanon face from multiple sides. So on the fees side, but also on the experience side, with multiple difficulties. But in addition to that, Lebanon receives around $7 billion of remittances per year. And for in the last years, it's a big part of Lebanese GDP. So in 2022 and partially in 2023, remittances represented around 50% of the Lebanese GDP, unfortunately. And that's not because remittances went up, but because the GDP went down because of the devaluation and all the issues happening in Lebanon. So when we talk about 50% of the GDP coming from remittances, we understand the importance of the role that remittances play in Lebanon and in the Lebanese daily lives. So everyone in Lebanon has a relative or a parent or a son or someone living abroad. And this is how Lebanon was able to survive in the last years. To go back to your question, it is a very big problem. It is a very big market too. And the remittance market was a pillar in the development of the banking sector in Lebanon in the years before the crisis. And with all the issues that happened and at the banking sector, so there is a big part of the market that could be captured. And this is what we're trying to do today.
You know, Robin Hood takes money from the rich, gives it to the poor. And sometimes companies can succeed by just becoming less greedy. They just want to take less money, and then they become bigger than the existing large corporates.
I totally agree. And this is how we decided to start Purpl. This was the idea in a time where people really needed these remittances received from Lebanese living abroad. It wasn't the time to be greedy. And I think this was one of the factors that made us closer to our users, because if a user compares the multiple channels they have to receive money in Lebanon and feel that we're providing a very good service and a very good experience, whereas we're a lot more affordable than other players, this is one of the biggest factors that are allowing users to use more Purpl multiple times and just to introduce Purpl wherever they are.
The user acquisition, Wissam. Now, you are getting these users through offering these attractive rates, attractive percentages when it comes to the commission you take. What other marketing are you doing to grow that base and to have more user acquisition?
So we work on multiple channels. Of course, online is a major channel, being an app, because Purpl is an app after all. So we're working a lot on online marketing. We're working on offline marketing, but a lot less than the online marketing. But how we see things, we work a lot on social responsibility, and this is one of the initiatives that we like to take at Purpl to show the users and the beneficiaries that it's not only about money, even though we're a startup, even though we're not being profitable yet, but we have a role to play in our society, and we have to pay back to the society. And that is interesting. We don't do it for the marketing, but it had good repercussions on customer acquisition and customer base in what we've seen in the last few months.
You said 50% of Lebanon's GDP at one point was coming from transfers, remittances. It's a huge amount. And this huge amount attracts sharks, competitors.
Yes.
You were one of these sharks?
No.
I'm sure there are other companies, a less greedy shark, but there are other companies that want to get into this space. How do you differentiate yourself between other competitors? How do you innovate? Do you do something different?
So there are major competitors on the Lebanese market and historical competitors. We're just a new startup on the Lebanese market, but you have players that existed for a long time and they have a very big market share. How I see competition is not really to attack the shark. It's position yourself in a different way and to attract a new customer base. So whereas competition today mostly is over the counter, is more of a brick and mortar model, we came with the tech side, we came with the app side, we came with the digital side. We're attracting young people, we're attracting a different audience that, of course, partially used to use these channels, but we're targeting other audiences, other people who are not used to these channels. So we're trying to differentiate ourselves, differentiate our brand, differentiate our positioning from other players. We're not here, after all, we all compete on a certain market, but we try to position ourselves completely different from the other existing players.
And how do you do that? How do you differentiate yourself other than the commission basis?
We differentiate ourselves on the first on the tech side. So I'm proud to say that our technology is one of the most solid. Our technology is secure. We have a very important part allocated to the tech team because, after all, a user that has a poor tech experience on an app will never go back to this app.
You won't open the app again.
You just so we work a lot on the tech, we work a lot on the security, and we work a lot on the experience of the user, making it as frictionless as possible and making it as easy as possible. So on that front, I'm comfortable to say that we're one of the best players in Lebanon. On the positioning and the branding and the marketing, we don't position ourselves exactly like you said, on like sharks. We just position ourselves as the new player, the young company, the out-of-the-system company, the entrepreneurs behind. We position ourselves as a young fintech startup who's just getting new solutions, tech solutions, to democratize cross-border money transfer, but to allow users to live a different experience. And that's how we were able to do it.
And Wissam, the company is based in Abu Dhabi. What impact being here was on your business?
That's a very important question for us. As I told you, we started in Lebanon in 2021 in midst of all the crisis, and then we got accepted in Hub 71, in the cohort of Hub 71. So we came to Abu Dhabi and to be part of Hub 71. And this is where we understood how comfortable Abu Dhabi and the ecosystem wants the startups and entrepreneurs to feel. Whereas in Lebanon, we were really struggling, where we had no real regulations. I'm talking about the digital wallet side, where we had a lot of issues and a lot of daily issues. This experience in Abu Dhabi came as really, I wouldn't say the opposite, but it came as a comfortable way of launching and doing business, whereas in Lebanon it was very difficult. It helped on multiple fronts, on a strategic and being part of the ecosystem. So a lot of companies that were based in Lebanon moved out of Lebanon either to Abu Dhabi or Dubai after the crisis. A lot of entrepreneurs moved to Abu Dhabi, and a lot of companies were based out of Abu Dhabi. So Abu Dhabi created this ecosystem of startups, entrepreneurs, and everything that comes within to help these startups and entrepreneur. And how I see things is how Abu Dhabi helps an entrepreneur to focus on his work. So they help from multiple sides, either on the regulatory or the legal or the introduction and creating this landscape and this ecosystem, and allowing entrepreneurs to focus on what they do, so their product, their service. And this is something very important that helped us a lot. In addition, being based out of Abu Dhabi was better perceived from the investor's point of view than being based out of Lebanon, and it was a very good perception to be based out of Abu Dhabi on the investor side too.
How many employees is in the company?
So we're around 20 today.
20 today. And you started with only the three of you?
Yes.
Interesting. That sort of evolution, was it difficult?
So it wasn't difficult. The biggest challenge we had was really to find the good fit. Working in a startup is not really easy. It's a completely different state of mind than what corporate people are used to. It's challenging. It requires a lot of motivation, but a lot of initiative and a lot of ownership. So finding the best fit for each position, that was the challenge. And the first few employees were the team members were doing everything. So if we needed someone on a compliance, we find some team member who can do a part on the compliance. If we needed on the operations, if we needed on finance. So we were all doing everything. And then when the team starts to grow and you need a specialist, you just hire a specialist. But especially the first comers are usually should be multi-talented or open to multiple opportunities and multiple tasks. We found that in the early, and our first joiners were really, we got lucky. But with time, you just go into more specific job description or detailed. The most important thing for me is to find the people who blend in the culture that we want to build in the company. So even maybe on a thousands companies of thousands of employees, that would be difficult. But our joiners today are the managers of the future. The people who believe in us today and join Purpl will be the people that will onboard others, and will spread the culture of Purpl wherever they go. So the most important thing is to have this culture with everyone on board, to feel they belong to Purpl, to feel they're motivated, to feel their ownership in what they do in Purpl. And this is a top priority for us, being able to find people that share the same culture that we do, and to expand and to build on that for our next phases.
How old are you, Wissam, today?
I'm 39.
Excited for 40?
It's just a number.
Do you believe that you sacrificed a lot building Purpl, building this business?
A lot of learnings. Sacrifice. I think whatever we do, at a certain point we should sacrifice something to achieve what we want to achieve.
What was your sacrifice?
In entrepreneurship and at Purpl. So basically, if you see someone coming from the private banking and the very corporate world to entrepreneur, I think the thing I sacrificed the most is time. And when I say time, it's not the time working or physically present at the office. It's just that you never feel the disconnection between work and life. and even on a weekend or so sacrifice is, yes, I had more free time to do things I like to do, but I wouldn't call them sacrifice. I'd just say these are learnings to build on them and to be able to grow more and offer more.
Would you change anything?
Today, no. I wouldn't change anything. I think today we have a good structure. We have a very good team. We have the motivation. We have the market knowledge. And we have a very interesting pipeline of products and services that are coming. And we have very interesting projects. Today, I wouldn't change anything. I just hope that we will be able to deliver on all what we're planning to deliver on.
Do you believe that you can achieve work-life balance with what you're doing, or do you believe that you need to put a lot of things in your life on hold?
It's not easy. I wouldn't say it's easy. I'll take my example. I'm married. I have 2 kids. So work-life balance come on multiple stages. It's work, it's the kids, it's the family life, and we should never forget our own time, because sometimes we need to resource ourselves. It's not easy. I try to juggle between all of these, try to find the minimum in each of these, and after all, this equilibrium, I think, is very subjective. It depends on every person. We should work to have at least the minimum of each, and to be able to continue. Because if you don't have this equilibrium, and I think this is the perfect recipe for a burnout or for a failure, you should build a sustainable relationship with yourself, with work, with the family, with your friends, and on all these fronts, because if you lose one of these, it will be very difficult to continue.
Did you ever feel at one point that this equilibrium is shaking towards more to work, less to family?
Yes, of course. You constantly can feel that. Sometimes I don't see my kids for 2 or 3 days, and I feel so bad. I feel that, yes, I don't have this equilibrium, but at least what I try to do is, when I see them, to make the best out of it and to spend really quality time with them, to compensate. And it's always like you're running, but it's fine. I'm sure that a lot of people have this. It's good to have this opportunity. For me, it's a good problem to have, and try to juggle. But the most important thing is to make the best out of each moment. So when you're working, being fully focused on work and achieving and advancing. When you're with your family, make the best out of it. And when you're with your friends, make the best of it. And when you're alone, take this time and respect the time needed. So if you make the best out of each time, I think it's fine.
Did you lose people along the way?
Lose?
Yes.
I gained a lot of people along the way. That's the other that is more important for me.
You made better connections.
Yes, better connection, better people. Yes.
Do you look up to someone?
There is no one particular person I look up to. I like to take lessons from multiple persons. It all starts, like every one of us, from the family. You start by looking up to parents, and then maybe your older brother, and then when you start working, to your manager. And that's if you have this, that's an excellent chance you have in your life. I look up to qualities in different person. And how I see things, there is no a perfect person, but combining these qualities from multiple person and trying to use them and reflect them in your self, that would be something very good to have.
Are there any future markets you want to enter with Purpl?
So there are. As I said before,
because right now you're in Lebanon, are you willing to expand?
Yes, we starting to validate our model in Lebanon. Once we feel comfortable to scale this model, we'll do it. The business model is very easily replicable and scalable. We have few opportunities now, some very serious, and hopefully they'll materialize very soon. I'll keep you updated when it happens.
How about product services? You want to expand to different services? From what I heard, you want to go through, you're launching in a month, the opportunity to pay merchants directly from the app.
Yes.
What else are you looking at?
So we're working on a lot of products in the coming month. Payment is one of them, cards, issuing cards, payment gateways, to use Purpl as a payment gateway. It is one, peer-to-peer, so wallet to wallet, bulk payments, a lot of services. We're launching a lot of services, and that's quite interesting and really challenging.
What's your vision for the future? How do you want Purpl to look like? For someone, when they use it, they could describe it in a couple of sentences.
I would say I would love my users to be comfortable using Purpl, and for them to be the go-to app if they want to pay, if they want to send, if they want to receive. So it will be like the payment ecosystem for them in their phones. I'd love to see that with the Purpl users. The more services and products we add, the more challenging it will be. But I would love to see my users using a lot of functionalities on Purpl and feeling it's so easy, secure, and they like to navigate through this app.
There are many entrepreneurs out there, and they want to achieve this sort of success. What advice would you have for them?
There are multiple things. And again, I always believe in the mixture, and I always believe that you can never take one thing or have one advice. First, the most important advice is to work with people who share with you the same values, the same culture, and with whom you enjoy working. And this is something very important. So if you're going into a partnership, get to know the person really well. After all, a business partner is a partner in life. So try to understand the culture, the ethics, and if you're able to work with these people or not. Other things that are very important, be persistent. And persistent does not mean stubborn. So it's not like hit the same wall for 10 times. But if you're facing difficulties, try to make the best out of these difficulties. Learn from them, build on them. And any difficulty is a learning curve on a personal level. So the most important thing is learn from your mistakes. Don't pretend that you know everything, because no one does. Listen to others. Get the biggest number of people giving you advice, and then you filter and you do what you want. But keep your mind open, keep your eyes open, and keep your horizon open, because no one knows everything, and no one will ever know everything. So keep learning from these people. Try to have around you people that care, but that have an added value on the professional side, on the product, on the service, and try to have as many advisors, and not officially advisors, but try to have as many advisors around you who will always teach you what are the best practices and what is the best approach for a service or a product. And be humble. This is really what I think is the most important thing. Be humble. Don't think you know more than others. Don't think that you're more important because you're an entrepreneur than anyone else. Just never forget the human side of you in all of this. It's a mixture of multiple things. Yes, it is. But there's no one advice for entrepreneur to succeed. It's a mixture of advices.
Thank you, Wissam, for being in the show.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much. And so happy to be here.
Thank you for watching us. Feel free to share your feedback and connect on our platforms. If you know someone with an inspiring story, email us at 100x.abudhabi@gmail.com. Stay tuned for more uplifting business tales.